Yes, Sona. Great. Okay. So yeah, you were saying something. You're in Mysore, right?
Yeah, right now I'm in Mysore.
Okay, great.
How are things in Davangere, sir?
Yeah, still the same, pretty much. Yeah, we all got back to duty, so it's all coming back to sort of normal.
Okay.
So that, anyways, exams are on the corner, right? So students are having their internals.
Yes.
Going on, the final internals, and then the university exams are supposed to be held next month. A couple of universities have started all. In fact,
okay.
Yeah, I think the Rajiv Gandhi University will take some time. I think after the PG exams are done, then we'll be having the undergraduate exams. Okay. All right. So I think we'll just wait for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Start off. Okay. All right. So good evening, dear students. Welcome back to yet another session of PhD 101 National Rapid Revision webinar series. I hope all of you are doing well. And since it's exam season around the corner, I think everybody's quickly brushing up the topics as much as they can read up. Given the situation right now, I think most probably the practicals again will be held on certain, non-clinical exercises, of course. So in continuation with our webinar series, again, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome our speaker for today, Dr. Sona G. Terathil. Dr. Sona is presently working as an assistant professor in the Department of Public Health and Dentistry, Coorg Institute of Dental Sciences, Virajpet. She's completed her MDS in Public Health Dentistry from SDM College of Dental Sciences in the year 2020 and had done a BDS from GDC Bangalore. She's conducted several randomized controlled trials for Colgate Palmolive. Was also presented a poster at the 2019 IADR session and exhibition in Vancouver, Canada in the year 2019. She's attended several workshops and courses in research methodology and statistical methods. She also holds the third rank in the RJHS MDS exams of 2020. So a little bit of background for our speaker for today. I think we have a very interesting topic for the session, which is dental jurisprudence. So students, I think before we can dive into the topic here for today evening, dental jurisprudence is a very interesting and a very sought after question, especially since we've evolved from preventive and community dentistry to public health dentistry. So being aware of whatever liabilities doctors hold in their practice and the various consumer protection forums which are available for patients. So we'll be learning a lot of these things in the next 40 minutes or so. I'd also like to inform that we'll have a question answer session towards the end. So we'll try to focus and keep the presentation strictly from an exam point of view. So it'll be a rapid revision. In case you require some detailed explanation, we're more than happy to get in touch and we'll do provide the material for them. As I can see, yes, we also have a couple of faculty members. I think, good evening, Dr. Imran from Yanapur Dental College is here. Good evening, Dr. Imran, and we have Dr. Manjunath Puranik, sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. So nice to have you join us for the session today. So with that backdrop information, I think I'll just request Dr. Sona to take on the session for today and take us through this topic of dental jurisprudence. Yes, over to you, Sona.
Thank you, sir. So on the outset, I'd like to thank Denzi, sir, for giving me this opportunity to take this class in dental jurisprudence. And also I'm so honored that Manjunath Puranik, sir, my own teacher from GDC Bangalore, who inspired me to take MDS in public health dentistry. To present in front of him, it's an honor. Thank you for coming, sir. So let me begin today's class on dental jurisprudence. So it will be a 40-minute session and I'll be presenting this PPT. Also by the end, if there is time, I'll present a mind map. So this is made taking into consideration the approaching exams. So, but This is an important topic because back when I was doing my BDS in 2013, this was a headline in Times of India. I'm not sure if like some of you remember it. So a 3-year-old boy was taken to a dentist to do a root canal treatment, and then later on he died in the hospital. Okay, so this became a hot topic of discussion back when I was doing BDS. So hopefully this chapter will help you to prevent a circumstance like this. So, so by the end of this lesson, you will be knowing about doctor-patient contract. You will be understanding what consent is, and you will know more about Consumer Protection Act, and then you will understand what medical negligence is. So coming to doctor-patient contract. So what is a doctor-patient contract? So it is defined as an agreement between two or more persons which create an obligation to do or not do a particular thing. So we in public health dentistry love definitions. So this is important to know even from theory point of view as well as from the Viva point of view. So to reiterate what I just said, contract is defined as an agreement between two or more persons which creates an obligation to do or not do a particular thing. So a dentist can refuse to treat a patient for any reason except race, creed, color, national origin, or based upon a person with disability. So here you should consider people with HIV as persons with disability, and you're not supposed to refuse treatment for such patients as well. So when does this start? When does a doctor-patient contract begin? So the moment as a dentist, if you express a professional judgment or perform a professional act, then the doctor-patient contract will begin and then duties begin to attach. So doctor-patient contract is of two types. So one is implied contract, the other is expressed contract. So coming to implied contract. So it is one inferred from conduct of the parties and arises where a person renders a service and the circumstances indicating that he expects to be paid, and the other person, knowing such circumstances, avails himself of the benefit of the service. So the word implied in the dictionary means something that is suggested by the action of an individual. So here there are two individuals. One individual gives a service knowing that he expecting to be paid for that service, and the other person knowing that he has to pay for the service, he will avail that service. So these terms are not expressed explicitly. So it is suggested from the action itself. So implied contract is not established when first aid is given in emergency, when pre-employment medical examination is done, and in life insurance purposes, and in trial court to examine the accused for any reason. So in these four circumstances, implied contract is not established. Now, when there is a contract, obviously there are duties from the doctor's side as well as from the patient side. So what are the implied duties of the doctor? So the doctor should use reasonable care and methods to treat the patient. He or she should be properly licensed and registered. He should not use experimental procedure, and he should obtain informed consent for any treatment administered. And he should keep the patient informed of his or her progress, and he should also inform the patient of any untoward occurrences. So coming to the implied duties of the patient should disclose all the information pertaining to his condition. He should cooperate with the doctor for any relevant investigation. He should carry out all the instructions that are given to him or her by the doctor, which may be medication, diet, rest, anything. And he or she should notify the dentist if there is any change in the health status, and he should compensate the doctor in terms of money for the services being provided to him. So why is this important to know? So if the patient breaches any of these duties, then that should be mentioned in the patient record. So why should it be mentioned in the patient record? Because this will enable the doctor to terminate the patient-physician contract if he breaches his duty. And it can also be construed as contributory negligence. So what is contributory negligence? So let's say an untoward incident happens and the patient accuses the doctor of causing it. So contributory negligence is the part the patient plays in that untoward negligence. So if he breaches any of these duties, it can be construed that he also has taken part in that incident. Coming to expressed contract. So it is an actual agreement of the parties, the terms of which are openly uttered or declared at the time of making it. It's stated in distinct and explicit language, either orally or in writing. So the doctor-patient contract is almost always of the implied type, except where a written informed consent is obtained. So when does this doctor-patient relationship ends? So this contract can end when both parties agree to end it. The patient or the dentist dies. The patient ends it by act or statement, and the patient is cured. The dentist can also unilaterally terminate this care when the patient has not fulfilled the payment agreement. The patient has not cooperated in keeping appointments. The patient has not complied with the home care instructions, and there has been a breakdown of interpersonal relationships. So coming to consent. So from exam point of view, this is a repeated question. So what is consent? So it is defined as when two or more persons agree upon the same thing in the same sense, they are said to consent. So who can give consent? So any person who is conscious, mentally sound, and is of and above 12 years of age as provided under section 88 and 90 of the Indian Penal Code 1860. Okay, though the IPC says this, there is another clause wherein it says that only people above the age of 18 can get into a legal contract. So for people below the age of 18 years, it's always advisable to get consent from their guardian or parents. Now coming to when the consent is not valid. So the consent is not valid when it is given under fear of fraud or misrepresentation of facts, or by a person who is ignorant of the implications of the consent or who is under the age of 12 years. Now coming to types of consent. So there are 4 types of consent: implied, express, informed, and proxy. So coming to implied consent or tacit consent. So it is the most common variety of consent, especially in our field. So the fact that a patient comes to a doctor for an ailment, it implies that he is agreeable to medical examination in the general sense. So what does this cover? So it will obviously cover inspection, palpation, percussion, auscultation, and routine sonography. Now coming to express consent. So this may be oral or written. So here the consent is, the agreement is openly uttered or written down. So express consent, oral consent is obtained for relatively minor examination or therapeutic procedure, preferably in the person of a disinterested third party. But when it comes to like major diagnostic procedure or general anesthesia and surgical operation, it is always better to get an express written consent. Now the third variety, that is the informed consent. So all information must be explained in comprehensible non-medical terms, preferably in the local language, about the diagnosis, nature of treatment, risks involved, prospects of success, prognosis if the procedure is not performed, alternative methods of treatment. Coming to the fourth type, the proxy consent or the substitute consent. So all the above types of consent can take the shape of a proxy consent. So basically here the parents of children or close relatives for mentally unsound and unconscious patients can give consent in their place.
I think we seem to have lost the connection. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes. Dr. Sona will be able to rejoin the session. Yeah. Yes, Sona, we can see you. Can we hear you, please?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You can just.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, I'll resume. So my screen is being shared?
Not yet. Try that again. Yeah, you can try now.
Now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, please continue.
So I'm okay. Okay. So what are the 4 attributes of a consent? So the consent should be voluntary. That is, it should not be given under fear of force. Second is that it's legally competent. It should be given by someone who is above 18 years of age. It should be informed. That is, the patient who is giving the consent should be informed everything about the procedure, and the information should be understood by the patient. So that talks about comprehending. So these are the 4 attributes of a consent. So how do you get consent? So first, the information is presented to the patient by the dentist, and then the patient satisfies oneself that he or she has understood, and then agrees or refuses to undergo the treatment. Now, when you give written informed consent, what should it consist of? So it should consist of a description of the procedure to be carried out, and then a description of the risks or discomforts that are foreseeable, and then benefits of the treatment, and then alternate procedures, and then confidentiality of the records, and a statement that the patient has understood the procedure and is willing to undergo the treatment, and finally the signature of the patient and of a witness. So if set of questions just to jog you through what we just talked about. So can someone tell me how contract is defined? So I guess your microphones are off. So anyway, I hope you can repeat.
Yeah, I think we can use the chat box and answer.
Okay.
I think you can unmute as well. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so contract is defined as, I hope you remember, an agreement between 2 or more persons. So which creates an obligation to do or not do a particular thing. So contract is of 2 types. One is implied and the other is expressed. So we talked about 4 types of consent. So one is implied consent, then you have express consent, informed consent, and proxy consent. Now, coming to another major part of the lesson today, Consumer Protection Act, or COPRA. So Consumer Protection Act in 1986 is an Indian federation law enacted to protect the interest of the consumers in India so that the consumers' rights are acknowledged. So why do we need Consumer Protection Act when we have the Court of Law? So we have Indian Penal Code and tort, but these have its own limitations. So basically some of the limitation that the existing laws have are that there is a delay in solving these cases. There is a huge cost of bringing about an action, and there is limited access to courts. And also the success depends on proof of both negligence and causation. So an alternative system was developed so that these consumers' rights are protected. So this is known as the Consumer Protection Act. So this was made applicable to doctors, that is us, because in Indian Medical Council Act, there is no provision for entertaining any complaint from the patient or to take any action against the medical practitioner in case any negligence has been committed, and to award any compensation, etc., in case the negligence is proved. So because these provisions are not there in the IMC, we are being included in the Consumer Protection Act. So it came into being in 1986, but it came into force on 15th April 1987. So it is a welfare legislation mainly tilting towards the consumer. So the Act has been amended, of course, several times. So first it was amended in 1993 and in 2002. And now the latest, I think it was amended in 2019, which we will be talking about shortly. So who is liable? Who can be, who come under this? Who is covered by COBRA? So all medical dental practitioners doing independent practice, unless they're rendering only free service, will be liable. Then private hospitals, which are charging all the patients, and all hospitals having free, as well as paying patients, and all the paying and free category patients receiving treatment in such hospitals, and medical and dental practitioners in hospitals which are paid by insurance firm. Who is not liable? So only those hospitals and medical and dental practitioners of hospitals which offer free services to all patients. So they don't come under this. Now, what are the salient features of Consumer Protection Act? So what makes it so awesome? So basically, the complaint is decided within 3 to 6 months, which you can't expect in other court of laws. So, and in 1993, a new section was introduced where the forum shall not admit a complaint unless it has been filed within 2 years of the date of action. And there is no court fee to file a case. And the consumer himself can plead his case, so he need not rely on lawyers. So obviously your expenditure on lawyers will not be there. And then there is an opportunity for the person, if he's not happy with the court verdict, then he can always appeal to the higher court. Now, what does this consist of? So the Consumer Protection Act has a 3-tier quasi-judicial machinery. So and the lowest form, we have the district forum, which has jurisdiction over goods and services under 20 lakh. And then you have the state commission at the state level, claims over rupees 20 lakh up to rupees 1 crore. And on the top, you have the national commission at the national level with claim amount of over rupees 1 crore. And then if you're not happy with the verdict of the national commission, you can always have a final appeal to the Supreme Court. Now, coming to the district forum. So this has jurisdiction of values and services which does not exceed rupees 20 lakh. So this is according to the 2002 amendment. So it consists of a president, a person who is or has been or is qualified to be a district judge, and 2 other members who are experts in economics, law, commerce, accountants, etc. And one of them shall be a woman. So the complaint to a district forum can be filed by the consumer, any recognized consumer association, one or more consumers where they have the same interest, or the central or the state government. So what happens when the district forum receives a complaint? So once the district forum receives a complaint, it will refer the copy of the complaint to the opposite party. So for instance, if a patient is not happy with your service and he has filed a complaint against you, they will file a case at the district forum according to the claim amount, and you will get a copy of the complaint. Okay, and you are supposed to give your version of the case within a period of 30 days. And then if the opposite party denies or disputes the allegation, or he fails to take any action, then the district forum shall proceed to settle the dispute. So the district forum usually does not adjourn the hearing, that is delay the hearing, but if it does, it will do it only once. Now the complaint should be decided within 90 days from the date of notice received by the opposite party. So, but if there is any investigation analysis of the material, it can go up to 150 days. Now, what does the district forum do after coming to a conclusion about the case? And if they find that the allegations are proved, then the opposite party has to return to the complainant the charges that he has paid, or pay compensation to the consumer for any loss or injury suffered by the consumer due to the negligence of the opposite party, and remove the deficiency in the service in question, and he or she should provide for adequate costs to the parties. So if you're not happy with the decision of the district forum, you can always go to the state commission within 30 days from the date of the verdict. So coming to the state commission. So state commission has jurisdictions over goods and services from 20 lakhs, but not exceeding rupees 1 crore. So it also takes petitions against district forum. So what does it consist of? Again, it consists of a president, who is a person who is or has been a judge of a high court, and 2 other members similar to the district forum. So procedure for hearing the appeal for original complaint, it is the same as for the district forum. So if you are not happy with the verdict of the state commission, you can always go against the appeal to the national commission. So coming to the national commission, so they have the jurisdiction over goods and services for over rupees 1 crore, and they also take up appeals against the orders of the state commission. So what does the national commission consist of? It consists of a president who is or has been a judge of the Supreme Court, and it has 4 other members, unlike the other 2, which has 2 other members. So the qualification is similar to the district forum and state commission. So if someone is not happy with the verdict of the National Commission, they can always appeal against such order to the Supreme Court, again within the period of 30 days from the order. Okay. So in 2019, again, COPRA was amended. So basically, some features that were included is before you had to send the complaint physically, provision for e-filing of the complaint. Also taking into account the digital we are living in, even for products and goods and services that you have acquired online, you can, the COPRA covers those as well. So another big change that has happened in COPRA 2019 amendment is the pecuniary limits, that is the jurisdiction over the value of goods and services. So in the district forum now entertains rupees goods and services that are not exceed 10 million, and state commission between 10 million and 100 million, and national commission anything over 100 million, that is 10 crore. So coming finally, we are in the last topic, that is medical negligence. So what is medical negligence? So medical negligence or malpractice is defined as the lack of reasonable care and skill or willful negligence on the part of a doctor in the treatment of a patient, whereby the health or life of a patient is endangered. So how do you know there has been a medical negligence? So basically 4 elements have to be proved to know that there has been a medical negligence. So one is duty, that is a doctor owed a certain duty that conforms to a particular standard of professional conduct. So this is called duty. Second is the doctor was derelict and breached that duty. This is called breach. Third is the patient suffered actual damages, called damages. And the fourth is causation. That is the doctor's conduct was the direct or proximate cause of the damage. So these 4 elements have to be proved to prove that there has been a negligence. So that burden lies on the patient or the consumer. So coming to criminal negligence. So here the negligence is so great that is beyond the matter of mere compensation. So here not only has the doctor made a treatment that is of such gross ignorance or carelessness that the life and safety of the patient
Yeah, I think we seem to have lost Sona transition. Okay, students. I think meanwhile, I think when Dr. Sona will be able to join us, we were quickly talking about criminal negligence topic, right? So as dental practitioners, when we encounter, there is a huge amount of responsibility and liability which is involved. So it's very important for all of us to keep ourselves aware about all these procedural clauses which are there, which protect the law and which protect the dentist as well, right? Okay, yeah. We have Sona back here. Great.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
try
okay.
sharing the screen again.
We
Can you see
wouldn't
this?
see you for that.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, we can see your screen, please.
Okay. So I guess we were here. So
Yes.
some of the examples of criminal negligence is injecting anesthetics in fatal dosage or in wrong tissues. So amputation of wrong finger, operation on wrong limb, removal of wrong organ, or errors in ligation of ducts. So in our case, removal of wrong tooth, which unfortunately happens more often, than it should. So, and then operation on wrong patient. So leaving instruments or sponges inside the patient part of the body operated upon, transfusing wrong blood, performing a criminal abortion, leaving tourniquets for too long, resulting in gangrene, applying too tight plaster or splints, which may cause gangrene or paralysis. So these are some of the reasons you can be held for criminal negligence. So, though this is the conclusion, so I think I still have some time. So, so it's important to protect yourself from such cases. So what should you do as a dentist? So that is most important. So basically, you have to be registered, you have to be licensed before you start practicing dentistry, and your clinic should be equipped with all emergency drugs in case of an emergency, and you yourself should be prepared for a case of emergency. And you should also make sure that the staff in your other staff in your clinic also know BLS. And another thing, patient record. So most important thing in a clinic, you should always maintain a good patient record. So Medical Council of India suggests that you keep the records for at least 3 years from the date of treatment. So, and this can protect you from any untoward incident that might happen. So obviously, when we are in a profession like this, we hope for the best, but we all also should be prepared for the worst. So in conclusion, so Consumer Protection Act is a sigh of relief to the consumers, of course. So it gives speedy justice to consumers. So ours is a noble profession, and to maintain its dignity, we as the members of the profession should abide by it in an ethical and legal manner. And but this should not give scare you, or it should not be a source of fear or obstruct you in delivering your professional service. Okay. And so what should you do? So you should have strict self-control, and you should standardize the professional care that you give. So these are my references. So are there any questions? So if you don't mind, can I like the entire thing? I'll try to use a mind map here. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, I guess it's not possible. So we can go ahead with the question answer session.
So I think that was a very comprehensive, covering all the topics related to dental jurisprudence by Dr. Sona. Any questions specifically, any of the PGs, undergraduates, I think, apart from the non-regular questions which have been asked in this topic, before we can quickly see any more questions required here? Okay. All right. So I think meanwhile, just give them some time for that. There's this anecdote which comes to my mind, when we talk about jurisprudence and legal issues, and the doctor-patient relationships and everything. Just sharing a funny incident. We have someone.
Sorry, sir.
Okay, yeah. So once what happened is a doctor and a lawyer were talking at a party, right? The conversation was constantly interrupted by people describing their ailments and asking the doctor for free medical advice. You know, it commonly happens that wherever they bump into you, they start off with medical advice. So in one such cases, this happened. After about an hour of this, the exasperated doctor, he asked the lawyer, what do you do to stop people from asking you for legal advice, when you're out of the office and not in your chambers and your clinic? So he says, I give it to them, replied the lawyer, right? And then I send them a bill. The doctor was shocked, but he thought, okay, let me just give it a try and try to do this. So the next day he was still feeling, slightly guilty. The doctor prepared all the bills, and when he went to place them in his mailbox, he actually found a bill from the lawyer. So it all comes down to this, that when you're talking about professional, scope of services and everything, doctors and lawyers and everything, we are evolving into a society where it's no longer paternalistic. It's more about a doctor-patient relationship referred to as a covenant of trust. So along with that comes the legal implications, and it's very important for practitioners today to be aware of the do's and don'ts, and like what Sona covered in her session, to be very well aware of the Consumer Protection Act, the amount of compensation which each of us are liable to in case of any kind of negligence, and what qualifies as a medically indigent act or a negligent act. So all of that becomes very important in day-to-day practice, and those were just one of the cases, which Sona mentioned, which is in the headlines. There are so many more cases like this, which are very important for us to take note and take this topic, seriously, and try to get into a better understanding of that. All right. So I think quickly, I think we have a couple of staff members who've joined in here. I think, yeah. Good evening, Dr. Imran. Yes. Dr. Imran is with us. Dr. Manjunath, BC as well from PGI. Rodak, sir is joined in. Nice to see you, sir. Dr. Sujata is here. She's joined in. Yeah, Dr. Manjunath, BC sir, I think we'll start with Dr. Puranik, sir. Dr. Puranik,
good evening.
Yes, Dr. Imran.
Yes. I think it was a well done presentation. I think she's covered very, very apt information. And I think to concise the topic within 40 minutes is a tough time. And I think she's done a wonderful job. She has explained, in a simple terms, what an undergraduate, at the level of an undergraduate, they should know. She is, she has been true to her learning objectives, whatever she has been put. So kudos to her. And it's a very important topic. And I think she's highlighted, her start was too good, because I still remember I was in Bangalore when that incident happened. And, sometimes it's, it's really nice, the memories coming back, and, what we do as a doctor. Sometimes, as a clinical practitioner, we try to do some help to the patients, and at the end of the day, it all comes back to us. One more important thing as a clinical practitioner, what we have to do is digitize our patient records and record each and everything. I have a practitioner in Australia who's practicing, and she makes a note of even the smallest of the smallest things, the instructions given to them. They write it down on the day what they have given, even after post restoration instructions. For us, when we ask the students what post restoration instructions you have given, yes sir, they make a mention of all those stuffs in their case records. Something which was surprising for us. We just talk it and we just talk it down and nothing happens. But at the end of the day, it's very, very important that we note each and everything, the smallest of the smallest things. I think she has very well put all those points that, made a mention of that, the same thing. In India, yeah, I'm sorry, that's my son. Okay. In India, we know that, the doctor-patient relationship is really good. We should be thankful. We should be thankful to our system that, because of good things, we are not finding these many cases, and we are also good clinicians at the end of the day. We are all good, that is the best part of the things. but probably documentation needs to be put, and this topic has to be taken in a more serious sense. No better than a subject of public health dentistry. Thank you, Zenzi.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Imran, for sharing your experiences. Again, very pertinent and important remarks from your side. Yes. I think I'd like to ask Dr. Puranik sir to please chip in with his thoughts.
Yeah, it was a very nice presentation.
Thank you,
You have
sir.
covered.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you have covered all C's. Okay.
Yes, sir.
The contract, consent, and COPRA in a very lucid way, and you have covered what I feel is very essential.
Yes, sir.
So that it will be useful for them during their exams also, and at a later stage, it will be useful in their practice. This is a very nice topic, and which requires deliberations again and again, because we think we know, and one is expected to be updated with respect to the law. There's something called as legal hygiene. As long as we practice legal hygiene and we are human, probably we may not face such cases. But otherwise, it's always ideal to be updated with law and practice from time to time. Thank you so much, Denzi. It was
Yes,
a very nice presentation. Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So can I now request
And Denzi, if I can bump in,
Yes, yes.
it's nice to see Puranik sir, logging in and supporting. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, sir. Even I would like to reiterate that. Thank you so much. This chapter was taken to me by him.
Thank you so much.
Back in my previous days.
Yeah.
That's really nice to know. That's really nice.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think like what we've discussed so far, right? So, sir made a very valid point that most of us think that we know, and we end up landing up in trouble, in other cases when the legal remedies we don't know what are available for doctors across, and what can actually land us into trouble. Many of us are not even able to identify that this qualifies as medical malpractice. There have been, a lot of case studies and scenarios published in this regard. I think the participants would be really, wanting to know more about this. Look up and read out about case studies which are published. The Supreme Court judgments in this direction, or even overseas, we have a lot of examples where even the failure to recognize periodontal conditions and detect and treat them at the right point of time, leading to eventual tooth loss and replacement, has added up to the huge amount of damages which are claimed by the aggrieved, that is the patient, from the doctor or the defendant. So I think it's very important for us to know that and understand in that direction, and then make an informed decision about this. All right, so I think we have Dr. Manjunath BC sir. Yes, sir. I think I can ask Dr. Manjunath BC sir to please share some experiences in this topic. I can see we have Dr. Vikrant sir who's just joined in. Hello, Vikrant sir. A little late for class, but nevertheless, you're there.
Yeah, I'm very much the last student to be joining every time.
Okay.
I just come to give a peek and then push out. Actually, I just got back from work. I just saw your update and I just thought I'll just join in and say hi to all of you. Yeah, great. I think surely, you surely would have done a good. And I'm just teaching ethics, so I just started off last week teaching ethics, and I thought I'll just learn some more things and then go back to my class tomorrow. But then I'm late. I'll wait for the recording now, so that I learn from whatever has been taught, and then I go back for tomorrow's class. One thing is, I'm not very sure whether did you discuss about whether Dr. Sona did discuss about a clinical decision making cycle.
No, we didn't. We didn't.
You didn't. So normally what we do is, I'm very sure you must have heard or must have about it. It is like Haron has given a 5-stage exactly 5 stages of clinical decision making. I'm not able to recollect the exact stages, but it is like, you have to present the based on the diagnosis, you present the treatment options, then you wait, then you discuss it, and there are 5 stages through which a particular informed decision is taken. So it's a cycle actually. So maybe that will be very useful that's where my I forget that what are the correct stages of this. So clinical decision making, wherein you inform the patient about the various treatment options, then discuss the pros and cons of each options. And it is something which surely she must have actually discussed about. So that's one thing which, I think students should know about in their routine clinical practice. And one more thing is, how do you communicate any event that has happened during any process or procedure? For example, any broken instrument or a fractured tooth, and how do you go about? These are the clinical situations which need more, I would say, discussion, as well as there is a more informed decision that is taken between the doctor and the patient. Sometimes there's a wrong tooth extraction also. Sometimes there's certain claims are there. For example, a particular restorative procedure will last for 15 to 20 years. The patient comes back within 2 months or 5 months or 6 months and then tells that. So many such these situations are there. And yeah, you think you've got it.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I just wanted to focus. Yeah, please continue.
Yeah,
Sir.
you got. I think you got the Harun's. Yeah, so this is a very nice way of doing. I normally use one of these techniques to talk. Last week actually I spoke about doctor patient relationship. So we talk about what are the basic Parsonian's principles of Parsonian's principle of doctor patient relationship, and the various levels of control between the doctor and patient. And we speak about that. Then we talk about what is the role of communication. How do you actually, in a doctor patient relationship, ethical and medical jurisprudence surely comes a little bit later, but these things actually lead up to that. So a student should be informed about what are the various methods, how you communicate, how is the strategy of communication, what is the strategy of communication, and following that, how the patient is informed about. And obviously informed consent form, I think she must have surely discussed about the consent form, whether and various components of the consent form. Very important, because most of us go back and start practice and we don't think about consent. And maybe consent is important in a dental hospital or a dental college, but not very important in practice settings. So that is where these small mistakes happen. And I think these things have to be reinforced between how to design, and there are standard consent forms available, and that way we can do a lot of things. So I think more importantly, all this whatever we read has to be made amenable to a student so that he understands how it translates to clinical practice. So that's the whole deal, actually, I feel. So
yes,
so I think I'm sure she would have done a great job, being an alumnus of the same institution from where she has passed out. So I wish her best of luck, and wish you all the best. And you see, I'm still wrapped up in my seatbelt, actually. I'm yet to come out of it. Chalo, you guys carry on. Great. I'll surely wait for the recording. All the best. Thank you, Dr. Sona, for your presentation. And thank you, Denzi. Carry on. All the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think that was really nice points mentioned by Dr. Vikrant sir in this. I think surely, I think we'll try to incorporate all of that into that. Again, decision making, like so rightly mentioned, it forms a very important aspect of your rights of a patient, and in terms how do we arrive on. So a proper balanced opinion has to be mentioned in that direction. Okay, so I think we have yes, Puranik sir, please.
Yeah, I'd like to add to what Dr. Vikrant said.
Yes.
With respect to decision making, this would be most appropriate, especially when you are in an ethical dilemma. So there are 6 principles of ethics. So when we are following the principles, there is a possibility that we may transgress some of the principles. So at that point, the steps given by Haran, 5 steps, as Dr. Vikrant said, would be useful in coming out of this ethical dilemma. But otherwise, the ethical decision making or so on. But I think today, Dr. Sona covered more of legal aspects rather than ethical aspects.
Yes.
So from that point, I think it is fine.
Yes, actually, we didn't want to.
Yes, because ethics and law are two different aspects, although they are related.
Yes.
And I think the focus today was more on the legal aspects.
Yes.
So the basics of contract
Hmm.
and similarly the consent or the COPRA, what the students should essentially know. I think it was fine. And that's all. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks. I think anybody else would like to say anything at this point of time? I think, in any case, quickly, I think I'd like to ask Sona to wrap this up for us. Can you give us like a quick summary, Sona, about whatever topic we've taken today? The legal aspects and the dental jurisprudence at large.
Yeah, I made a mind map so that it will stick. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so today we talked about dental jurisprudence. So first we discussed doctor-patient contract. So under that, we talked about the definition of contract, wherein it is an agreement between two or more people. And when it begins, when the duties start to attach, and then types of contract, which includes implied and express contract. Then we talked about consent. So the definition of consent and the types of consent. So which are, and then attributes of consent. So under types, we had 4 types: implied, express, informed, and proxy. And then we talked about COPRA. So here we talked about what COPRA is, why we require it, and that it is a 3-tier system, and the revisions that happened in 2002 and 2019 in particular. So the 3-tier system consists of a district forum, state commission, and a national commission. So then finally we discussed about medical negligence. So the definition of medical negligence and the 4 elements that a medical negligence should be proven. So that is duty, breach, causation, and damages. So these are the 4 important things that we covered today. I think this pretty much summarizes the entire topic. Thank you, sir.
Great. I think that has been a very enriching session today, Sona. I think I was really well said. Okay, we have Dr. Anita as well joined in. Yes, Dr. Anita, would you like to? I just received a comment from Dr. Anita. Yes, Dr. Anita, would you like to say anything? In case, think.
Good evening, everyone. In
Good evening,
particular, Dr. Sona, I just joined now.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I got a bird's eye view of what you have covered. So this is the advantage of hearing to younger generation. Though I'm not very old, I feel very happy that, new introduction. I learned about mind map. So all this while I was thinking I'm the only one trying to struggle with this. She's already successfully done. And so elegantly she explained. Congratulations. Good try. Please teach me also personally sometime, Dr. Sona.
Definitely, ma'am. Definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Anita. I think always it's a delight to hear from you. Okay, great. So that brings us to the end of today's session. I thank you so much, Dr. Sona, for taking your time today and for giving us a walkthrough into this very interesting topic. All the participants, again, this is what really makes this really beautiful, because we get to hear from so many teachers and so many participants across the varied learning styles. And of course, we did get enriched at the end of this our session in this topic and much more. And thank you so much, Dr. Sona, for the session. And like I said, all the participants, Dr. Imran, Dr. Manjunath Puranik, sir, again, always been a guiding force for us at PhD 101. All the other teachers, Dr. Krishna Priya, Dr. Manjunath Besi, sir, and then Dr. Vikrant and Dr. Anita, who chipped in towards the end. And definitely, it's always wonderful to learn from all of you all. So I think please do write to us and let us know if you have any questions in mind. And before we wrap this up, I think thank you so much. And we'll see you all soon next Wednesday for an academic schedule. So like I said, exams around the corner, and the new normal, which is COVID learning. We're trying to, maximize this and help out students across. Of course, we'll be sharing the presentation, Dr. Sona's, to our learning groups as well, so that they can quickly revise and look through that. Otherwise, again, feel free to reach us or anybody at the portal, and we'll be really happy to help you all. So thank you all so much for joining in. Thank you, Sona, for the session today. And
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we'll see you all very soon. Bye bye, all of you. Stay home and stay safe. Thank you. Thank you.